Hi class, today we are on Saxon Book 3, Lesson 79, and we are going to talk about length and some different units of measurement. So we have looked at inches, feet, yards, and compared them and used them for measuring. Today we're going to talk about centimeters, meters, and kilometers. So here in the United States, we use inches, feet, and yards typically when we're measuring anything for length. Most other countries use the metric system, which is what we're going to talk about today with the centimeters, meters, and kilometers. So this chart is in your book. It's on page 426. But in addition to having it there, I would like for you to copy it down into your math dictionary. The act of writing things and taking notes helps to cement that information into your brain so that you can start to remember this and not have to look it up in the book every time you need the information. So let's talk about it first. Centimeters are about the width of your thumb. So from one side to the other, you can stick your thumb in front of you and say, yeah, that's about a centimeter. We abbreviate it with the letters cm. And you have centimeters on your ruler. There's inches on one side, centimeters on the other side. And so we can use this one ruler to measure either way. Meters are just slightly longer than a yard. So here's my meter stick, and it measures, actually this side still measures inches, but a yard is 36 inches, so a yard would stop right here, whereas a meter has a few extra inches. On the back side is where they measure the centimeters on the meter stick, and it goes up to 100. 99 is marked off right here, so the edge of the stick would be 100 centimeters. There are 100 centimeters in a meter, and we say a meter is about the size of one really big step. So depending on the length of your legs is how far you have to stretch to step a meter. But we said that for a yard too. A yard is about the length of a big step. A meter's just a little bit of space longer than the yard. So this is a meter. It takes 100 centimeters to equal a meter. And if I had 1,000 of these that I sat edge to edge, they would stretch for a kilometer, which is the last name on here. Our abbreviation for kilometer is km, and a kilometer is 6/10 of a mile. So 6/10 is just a little bit more than half of a mile. It's not something I can show you on my screen because it would take 1,000 of these to line up and show you a kilometer. So it's pretty far. You would measure distances like that you're driving in kilometers. If you ever notice the speedometer on your parents' car, it measures miles per hour, but it also measures kilometers per hour. So you could see that there. Okay, so we are going to do a little activity. Go ahead and pause the video, get this information into your math dictionary, and when you come back, have your ruler handy with you. And you'll also need your textbook and a piece of paper. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is practice measuring. So if you have a piece of paper like mine, just lined notebook paper, you're going to measure the width of it using, what do you think? Should you use meters? Should you use centimeters? Should we use kilometers? Definitely centimeters. This is too small to be measured with meters or kilometers. So with your ruler, find the centimeter side. Make sure that you line up the edge of your paper with the start of your ruler. Depending on your ruler, that may or may not be the edge. Sometimes they give a little bit of space between the edge of the ruler and where the 0 mark is. So line it up and measure the width of your paper. What did you get? If you had paper just like mine, you should have gotten just slightly more than 20 centimeters. Now, if you had printer paper that you were using instead, the book says it's about 22 centimeters, so printer paper is just slightly wider than this. So depending on what kind of paper, if you want to check your answer for sure, take it to your homeschool parents so that they can double check your measurements. Now, how long is your paper? So we measured width. We're going to turn it this way and measure length. Line up your ruler with the 0. If you have the same type of paper as me, you should have gotten 26.5 centimeters. The edge of the paper lands right between the 26 and the 27 on my centimeter ruler. If you have printer paper, again, that's slightly larger, that would be about 28 centimeters. All right, the next question, I'm not going to be able to check your answer. It says, measure your pencil. So some of you might have brand new pencils. Some of you might have been using them for a little bit of time, so they're shorter. Some of you might like writing with those stubby little pencils that only your little hands can handle, because if I try to hold them, my hand takes over the whole pencil. So measure your pencil, have a homeschool parent check if your measurement was correct, and then come on back to me. All right, the next thing that you are going to measure is the width of your door. So you can do your bedroom door, your front door. If you have a sliding glass door at home, you can try that. But you're going to measure the width of your door. Depending on the door, it's going to be a different width. So I would like, if you are my student, for you to bring this information to us when I see you in class later today, and we'll talk about the width of the doors. And then you're also going to measure the height of the door. If you have a meter stick at home, you can use this. I know I don't keep one of these at my house. I only have one in the classroom. But I do have these at home, and you can use this too. So if you have to measure something that's longer than the 30 centimeters of your ruler, let's say I were measuring my height of my board here. I would line it up with the bottom, and then at the edge of the ruler, I'm going to put my finger right there, and then I move the ruler so that now it's lined up the bottom edge with my finger, and then I move my finger and line up the ruler again. If you need some help with measuring the height and width of your door at home, then you can certainly ask a brother or sister or a parent to help you with moving the ruler, with holding the ruler. Okay, so once you have done that, you can come back and we have a couple of examples of the types of problems that you'll see in your homework. So the first one is multiple choice. It says, which length could be the length of a pencil? So our choices are A, this is sign language for A, 15 centimeters, B, 15 meters, this is sign language for B, C, 15 kilometers, or D, for D, you take your 3 fingers here and make a circle with your thumb, and then your pointer finger sticks up. So D, 15 feet. So which one do you think could be the length of a pencil? A, 15 centimeters, B, 15 meters, C, 15 kilometers, or D, 15 feet? I've never seen a pencil that was 15 kilometers long or 15 meters. 15 of these for one pencil? No way. Definitely A is the correct answer. That's the only possible length for a pencil out of those choices. The next example says, the train engine pulled a line of 50 boxcars That was about a kilometer, depending how you pronounce it, long. How many meters is a kilometer? So it gives us all this information about the train, but the only question it's asking is how many meters is equal to a kilometer? You should have that in your math dictionary if you copied my little chart down here. 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. Our next example says a 12-inch ruler is about 30 centimeters. If 3 rulers are laid end to end, about how many centimeters long would 3 rulers be? So we would have 30 centimeters, and then the second one, 30 more centimeters, and then the third one, 30 more centimeters. So how are we going to figure out the answer to that? You have 2 choices. We could do repeated addition. 30 plus 30 plus 30. Is there another way we can write a repeated addition question to figure out the answer? We could multiply. We have 3 groups of 30. Either way you choose to solve it, you're going to end up with 90. And we're talking centimeters here, so 90 centimeters. Either way you choose to do the math. All right, for this next example, there is a picture in your book. I drew it and I did not draw it the same length as the one in the book. So I'm going to show you how I would solve this one, and then you can go back and look at the rectangle in your book and use your ruler to solve that one. So here's my rectangle. The question says, find the length and width of this rectangle in centimeters. Then find the perimeter of this rectangle in centimeters and find its area in square centimeters. So there's a lot of work to this problem. The first thing we need to do is measure it. So I'm going to take my ruler and line up, and then I'm going to try to hold it really close to the camera so you can see. Can you see that that is 7 centimeters, my length there? So I'm going to label that so that I don't forget it. 7 centimeters for length. Then we have to measure the width. So once again, I'm going to line up the 0 of my ruler with the edge of the rectangle here. Can you see that? That's about 5 centimeters. So I'm going to label that side as well. Now this is a rectangle. Do I have to measure the other 2 sides? No, because in a rectangle, opposite sides are the same length. So that's also going to be 7 centimeters. That's also going to be 5 centimeters. So I've done the first part. Now I need to find the perimeter. How do we find the perimeter of a rectangle? We have to add up all 4 of the sides. So we are going to add 7 plus 7 plus 5 plus 5. Here I've got 14 plus 10. So that's going to be a perimeter of 24 centimeters. Still not done because they also want us to find the area. How do we find the area of a rectangle? We multiply length times width. So my area is going to be 5 centimeters times 7 centimeters. And so area is 35 centimeters. Do we measure area with straight centimeters? No, they have to be squared so we can fill in the little centimeter squares inside of our picture there. Now we've completed the problem. So watch out for that. You may end up having some written practice or some test problems where they want you to do several things before you finish the problem. They're asking 2 or 3 different parts. All right, so your next job, ladies and gentlemen, is to complete lesson practice on page 428. Those of you that will be seeing me later today in class need to have that ready, and we will go over the answers together. For those of you that are not in my in-person class or online class, go over the answers with your homeschool parent. And then you can begin the written practice also on page 428. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon.